smiles more practiced. Even their own reflection in the dark screen before the computer looked unfamiliar, a stranger wearing competence like a costume. They thought about the sketchbook they'd found the night before. The pages had smelled faintly of dust. What if the comfort you're chasing is quietly stealing your strength? We spend our lives trying to make things easier, safer, smoother, predictable. But somewhere along the way we forget how to fight, how to stretch, how to soar. This is the story of a soul who traded struggle for safety, only to discover that an easy life can come at the highest price of all, the loss of your wings. This is a powerful and reflective story about Erin, a soul who trades struggle for comfort, only to realize that an easy life can silently cage the spirit. Through loss, rediscovery, and courage, Erin learns that true freedom isn't found in avoiding pain, but in embracing growth. This story is a heartfelt journey from safety to self-discovery, reminding us that sometimes the hardest paths are the ones that teach us how to fly. The hum of the air conditioner was the only sound in Erin's apartment. Outside, the city pulsed with life, car horns, laughter, music spilling from cafes. But inside, everything was muted, perfectly temperature-controlled, perfectly still. The coffee machine gurgled quietly, the same morning routine, the same playlist, the same neatly ironed shirt hanging from the same hook by the same door. Everything in Erin's life worked like clockwork, predictable, safe, easy. People said Erin was lucky. They had a stable job, a comfortable apartment, and a small circle of friends who never asked difficult questions. Their bills were always paid, their meals always planned, their evenings always spent scrolling through the soft glow of a phone screen. But every night, as Erin lay in bed staring at the ceiling, something unnameable stirred, a quiet ache, like the faint hum of a song half remembered. Years ago, Erin had dreamed of being a pilot, not metaphorically, but literally. As a child, they would sit on the balcony for hours, watching planes slice across the blue, drawing invisible lines between clouds. One day they would whisper, "I'll be up there too." They used to sketch wings, engines, and skies in notebooks. The smell of jet fuel once meant hope. But somewhere between graduation and adulthood, the dream dimmed. It wasn't a dramatic fall, no tragedy, no heartbreak, just a slow, quiet fading. Reasonable, the workload manageable. Everyone said it was a good life, so they stayed. 1 month became 6, 6 became a year became almost a decade. The edges of their ambition began to dull. One evening, as Erin sat eating takeout in front of the television, a documentary came on, Wings of the Future, the life of modern aviators. The image of a small plane soaring through crimson clouds filled the screen. The pilot's laughter echoed through the speakers. Erin froze, chopsticks mid-air. Something inside their almost painful spark of recognition. The feeling was too uncomfortable, too raw, like looking at a reflection that revealed the channel. The hum of the air conditioner returned. The comfort came back, and with it, the silence. That night, Erin dreamt of flying, not in a cockpit, but with their own wings. They could feel the wind clawing through their hair, the rush of height, the thrill of weightlessness. But just as the horizon stretched open and freedom seemed within reach, something tugged at their back. They looked down. Chains, golden, beautiful, and heavy, were wrapped around their wings. The more they struggled, the tighter they grew. When Erin woke, their heart was racing. The dream clung to them like smoke. For a moment, they almost cried. But morning routines wait for no emotions. The alarm buzzed, the coffee brewed. The clock ticked. Life went on, easy, predictable, comfortable. On the way to work, Erin passed by a playground where a small group of children were running, their laughter cutting through the morning haze. A pair of wings taped together. He was running, arms outstretched, shouting, "I'm flying! Look, I'm flying!" Erin smiled, but it was a hollow smile, the kind that doesn't quite reach the eyes. For a second, they imagined stopping, telling the boy, "Don't ever forget that feeling." But the crosswalk light turned green. The moment passed. At the office, the day unfolded like all the others. Emails, polite meetings, the faint scent of burnt coffee, the rhythm of keyboards clicking in unison. Midday, a co-worker named Jenna leaned over and said, "You ever think we're too comfortable here?" Aaron looked up. "What do you mean?" "I don't know," Jenna shrugged. "We make good money, have benefits, short Fridays, but doesn't it ever feel like we stopped living somewhere along the way?" Aaron hesitated. "I guess comfort isn't such a bad thing." "No," Jenna said, turning back to her screen. "It's not bad. It's just expensive." "Expensive?" She smiled faintly, walked away. That evening, as Aaron walked home under the amber glow of streetlights, they looked up at the sky again. Planes crossed above, their lights blinking against the darkness. For the first time in years, Aaron didn't just see them, they felt them. The boy with the cardboard wings, the dream of flight, the golden chains. Was this what Jenna meant by expensive? The price of comfort wasn't money. It was something deeper, something harder to name. Maybe it was passion. Maybe it was purpose. Maybe it was the wings themselves. When Aaron reached home, they found their old sketchbook buried in a drawer. Dust rose as they flipped it open. There, in faint pencil lines, was a drawing of a bird mid-flight, half real, half imagined. Underneath it, written in younger handwriting, were the words, "Don't let the easy path steal your wings." Aaron closed the book slowly. Outside, the wind stirred, faint but real, brushing against the window like a whisper. They didn't know it yet, but something had begun to shift. The cage had cracked, just a little, and somewhere deep inside, the wings stirred. The next few mornings felt heavier than usual. Aaron couldn't shake the feeling that something invisible was following them, not a presence, but a pull. It was as if every moment of quiet now echoed with the question they didn't want to answer. When did you stop flying? The office looked the same as always. Identical gray desks, muted chatter, the soft whir of printers. But something in Aaron's perception had shifted. The fluorescent lights seemed harsher, the smiles more practiced. Even their own reflection in the dark screen before the computer looked unfamiliar. A stranger wearing competence, like a costume. They thought about the sketchbook they'd found the night before. The pages had smelled faintly of dust and nostalgia, and flipping through them had felt like traveling back to a world that once belonged entirely to possibility. A small ache lingered, the kind that makes you want to laugh and cry at the same time. That evening, Aaron decided to take a detour home. Instead of their usual train, they walked along the old neighborhood route, the streets where they'd grown up. The path wound past the elementary school, now covered in ivy and memories. Through the chain-link fence, they could see the playground, the same swing set that once launched them toward the sky. Aaron smiled faintly. How many times had they closed their eyes as a child and pretended to fly? To feel the rush of air, the dizziness of height, the freedom of pretending to be unbound. But the memory that surfaced next wasn't joyful. It was sharp, alive. It was their teacher, Ms. Leone. She'd been the first to notice Aaron's fascination with planes. She used to bring aviation magazines to class, letting Aaron pore over pages filled with blueprints and jet engines. One afternoon, she'd said, "Never lose that curiosity, Aaron. It's what gives you wings." That sentence had been tucked away somewhere in the folds of time, until now. And for the first time in years, Aaron wondered, what would she think if she saw me now? The next weekend, Aaron went searching for something they hadn't touched in years. The old model airplane set that used to sit on their childhood desk. It was buried in a box in the storage forms and holiday decorations. When they pulled it out, dust rose in a thin cloud. The wings were chipped, the paint faded. But the moment Aaron held it, something deep inside stirred awake, like muscles long unused, remembering their purpose. They set it on the table, fingers tracing the edges in a quiet little village surrounded by rolling green. It represented a version of themselves that had believed in impossible. Her cottage sat at the far end of the village, beside a narrow stream that sang softly as it passed her door. They just sat there, staring at that little plane, as if it held answers to questions they hadn't asked in years. Days passed, and with each one, the restlessness grew. Aaron and them had all constructed their own worker who hated her job but stayed for the paycheck. The neighbor who dreamed of painting but never found the right time. The friend who used to sing but now only hummed when no one was listening. Everywhere they looked, they saw wings that had forgotten how to fly. One night, while meeting friends for dinner, the conversation drifted to Chun. We thought we could be anything we grew up, right? Laughter filled the table. But Aaron didn't laugh. Something inside them recoiled at those words. Thank God we grew up. Was growing up supposed to mean giving up? They excused themselves early that night, the laughter of their friends echoing behind them like a language they no longer understood. The next morning, Aaron arrived at work early. For once, they didn't open emails immediately. Instead, they opened a blank document and just stared at the cursor blinking on the screen. Then, almost without thinking, they began typing. Not a report, not an email, just words, memories, feelings, thoughts. They wrote about the boy with cardboard wings, about Ms. Leone and her belief, about the small airplane on their desk and the dream that had never quite died, only slept. It felt strange, liberating, to let the truth spill out. By the time they stopped, 2 hours had passed. The sun had fully risen, painting the office walls with gold. Aaron read what they'd written, and for the first time in years, they didn't feel like a spectator in their own life. They felt awake. That afternoon, something unusual happened. A message popped up on Aaron's work computer from an unfamiliar name. Liar. He was an older consultant the company occasionally brought in for training. His message was simple. I saw you staring at the sky during lunch. You look like someone who used to fly. Aaron blinked. How could he know that? Before they could respond, another message arrived. If you ever want to talk about wings, coffee's on me. It was odd. Out of nowhere, a stranger reaching through the fog of routine. But something about his tone was calm, knowing. Aaron hesitated for a full minute before replying, Sure. Tomorrow? Tomorrow, came the quick reply. There's a cafe near the park. 7:30. They almost canceled that evening, second-guessing the entire thing. But curiosity, that long dormant spark, had begun to whisper again. And for once, Aaron decided to listen. As night fell, they stood by the window, watching another airplane cross the sky. A glowing trail against the darkness. For years, that sight had only reminded them of what they weren't. But tonight it felt different. It wasn't envy. It wasn't regret. It was longing, a kind that could still become motion. They whispered into the glass, almost to themselves. Maybe it's not too late to remember. That night, Aaron dreamed again. But this time, when they looked at their wings, the golden chains had begun to crack. And through the fractures, light was breaking through. The cafe was small and tucked behind a row of flowering trees. When Aaron arrived the next morning, the smell of roasted beans mingled with rain from the night before. Liar was already there, an older man with silver hair and the kind of calm that comes from living through storms. He smiled as Aaron approached. You came, he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. I almost didn't. Most people don't. Comfort is persuasive. They talked about nothing, the weather, traffic, a local festival. But then Liar leaned forward. Tell me, he said softly, when did you stop chasing the sky? Aaron froze. What makes you? Because I've seen that look before. The look of someone who's built a life so safe that it's begun to feel like a cage. Aaron wanted to deny it, but words failed. Liar sipped his coffee, eyes distant. I used to fly small planes for a living, loved every second of it. But after my first scare engine failure over a field, I quit. Told myself I'd had enough excitement. Started working at a desk. It was easy money, quiet days. But after a few years, I realized something. What? I hadn't avoided fear, he said. I'd avoided life. The words landed like a quiet explosion. That day, the office felt unbearable. Every routine, every polite smile, and predictable email echoed with Liar's voice. Comfort is persuasive. Aaron started noticing how everyone moved like parts of a machine. The same jokes recycled at lunch. The same sighs on Monday morning. The same hollow cheer on Fridays. At first glance, they all looked fine, well-dressed, well-fed, well-paid. But beneath that polish was a tiredness Aaron recognized too well. The weariness of people who had traded purpose for predictability. By late afternoon, Aaron found themselves staring at the ceiling, unable to focus. The numbers on the spreadsheet blurred. What once felt easy now felt suffocating. Was this the price Leah had warned about? That weekend, Aaron visited their parents. The house was exactly as they remembered, tidy, quiet, filled with the smell of lavender and nostalgia. Their mother smiled when she saw them. "You look tired," she said. "Work keeping you busy?" "Just the usual," Aaron replied automatically. At dinner, their father spoke proudly about stability. "You've built a good life, Aaron. You're sensible. Not like your cousin chasing art gigs and moving cities every 6 months." Aaron smiled, but something in their chest twisted. They used to admire that cousin's courage to leave, to start over, to risk. Now, hearing their father's praise, Aaron realized how much of their life had been shaped by the need to please. After dinner, they wandered out to the backyard. The night air was cool. Crickets sang softly. Above them, the stars scattered like forgotten possibilities. Aaron whispered, "Easy isn't always right, is it?" The wind offered no answer, only a quiet rustle through the trees. Monday came too soon. Back at the office, Aaron opened their email to find a memo. Mandatory wellness and motivation workshop this Friday. The irony stung. At the workshop, a cheerful consultant with 2 bright eyes talked about finding fulfillment within structure. He handed out worksheets titled "The Joy of Routine." "True happiness," he said, "comes from minimizing surprises." Lyre's voice echoed in Aaron's mind. "Comfort is persuasive." Aaron looked around the room. Most people nodded, taking notes dutifully. They wanted to believe him. It was easier to believe him. When the session ended, Aaron slipped out before anyone noticed. They walked to the rooftop, where the city stretched beneath them in restless motion. Skyline. For a long time, Aaron just stood there, feeling the wind whip through their hair. The world below seemed obsessed with safety, but up here, the air itself demanded honesty. They whispered, "I want to feel light." Aaron wrote in their journal, a habit they hadn't touched since college. "I used to think the opposite of fear was peace, but maybe the opposite of fear is freedom. And peace. Peace comes after you earn it." When they closed the journal, they felt a small flicker of warmth. Over the next week, tiny rebellions began to bloom. They started taking different routes to work. Sometimes they walked instead of riding the train. They deleted the company chat app from their phone. They stopped forcing smiles during meaningless small talk. Each act felt insignificant on its own, but together they were cracks spreading through the walls of a very old cage. Still, comfort whispered temptations. "Stay here. You're safe. The unknown is dangerous." Some nights Aaron almost listened. They'd curl up on the couch, watching others' adventures on screen, convincing themselves that observation was enough. But then they'd remember Lyre's calm eyes, the sound of planes in the sky, and that lingering question, when did you stop chasing it? By the end of the month, Aaron realized something startling. The easy life wasn't really easy at all. It demanded sacrifices, dreams, curiosity, spontaneity, each surrendered quietly. One routine only. It erased you slowly. Aaron closed their eyes and imagined those golden chains. They could almost hear the metal creak, the faint promise that maybe, just maybe, it could still be broken. That evening, they sent Lyre a message. "Coffee again tomorrow?" "Always," he replied. "I think I'm ready to talk about flying." The cafe felt different that morning. Warmer, brighter, alive with the quiet hum of conversation and the hiss of steaming milk. Aaron arrived early, nervous energy thrumming beneath their calm exterior. Lyre waved from his usual corner table, a faint smile playing across his lips. "You brought your journal," he said, noticing it in Aaron's hand. Aaron nodded. "I've been thinking about everything." Lyre leaned back, folding his hands. "Good. Thinking is where it starts, but it's remembering that changes things." Aaron frowned. "Remembering what?" He smiled gently. "Who you were before the..." They sat in silence for a moment as the cafe door opened and closed, the sound of rain tapping against the window pane. Then Lyre spoke again, his voice soft but steady. "I told you I used to fly, but I didn't tell you how I stopped." Aaron leaned in, drawn by the quiet gravity in his tone. "It was supposed to be a routine flight," Lyre began. "Clear weather, short distance. But midair, I hit a turbulence pocket, violent, unexpected. I panicked. For a few minutes, I lost control. The plane dropped hundreds of feet before I leveled it. I landed safely, but something broke inside me that day. I told myself I'd been lucky that I'd learned my lesson." He paused. "What I really learned was fear. I stopped flying. Stopped taking chances. I told everyone I'd found peace. But my cage." Aaron's throat. "He reminded me of myself before religion. And I realized something. I'd been waiting for courage to come back to me.